So you reached Sri Lanka.
I couldn't work anymore. I broke my back.
So how long were you away from swimming?
About 2004 till about 2017. Wasn't really that difficult for me though. I thought I could not get into the competitive anymore. They are fast. People are really, really fast. First longest open water swim, which was the longest in the world actually. It's called the Mushirabad Open Water Swimming Competition. 81 kilometers downstream to Mushirabad.
No, people swim in meters or maybe 3 4 kilometers. 81 kilometers. It's like just mind-boggling.
For me, the first thought after any of my swim is like, and then we turned around and it was dark. There are sharks, there this and that. It's very unpredictable out in the sea. I get lost and stuff. I got lost. And you're aware of microorganisms. They get into your bloodstream.
So both times I felt that failure taught me a lot.
Failure is learning more about how much you are willing to cross for yourself.
Then how did you decide to undertake the first long distance swim that you did? Welcome to yet another episode of Her Health Talks. Today we have on our show a very special swimmer. Most of the swimmers that you know will swim from wall to wall. Yes, between the two walls of the pool. But here I have with me somebody who swims between countries. Yes, she's been to Sri Lanka and back. She's a world record holder swimmer. I'm so happy to welcome Sucheta Deb Burman. Sucheta, thank you so much for coming to Her Health Talks.
Thank you, Dr. Priya. I mean, I've been watching your podcast and stuff, and I'm finally sitting here with you. I mean, it's a really nice experience. Thank you. Thank you.
So, Sucheta, what happens is whenever we know of people who've done great endurance feats, we always tell ourselves, अरे ये तो बचपन से करती होगी, अरे इसका तो ये तो athlete होगी. But most people know that you have been swimming since the age of 4. You were a competitive swimmer till the age of 18. But like how it happens with most of us professionals, we give up on sport once we enter into career. So tell us about your childhood. Tell us about the bit where you left sport for a while and tell us about your comeback.
As a child, I basically started because my father's a coach, and my father used to coach people. And we actually used to swim in this pool called the Kensington Swimming Pool, which is by Alsur Lake. The pool this year actually is about, I think, 70 years old. I'm not really sure. I'll come back with the numbers. Hang on. Okay, so we used to swim in this pool called the Kensington Swimming Pool because it used to be close to home, right? And this pool was built in the 1970, and we used to actually be swimming there. So I mean, it's decades the pool is there. And I went back recently. I was like, wow. And you know, everybody would actually see me. They would say, they see me as a little girl. They'd be like, we remember Sucheta running around the pool in pigtails. And suddenly they see me now, and the transition from being a little girl running around in pigtails to who I am has not only changed, has completely changed me as a person who I am. Completely. So swimming was beautiful competitively. Then obviously you have your college life. We all also start exploring another side of us. And then comes the corporate life. We all got a taste of money. I got a taste of money. That was it. That actually worked. But because of an injury I had, I couldn't work anymore. I
What happened
broke
to
my
you?
back. I slipped on the stairs. So I had a compression fracture in my
Oh.
tailbone. So it was also a fracture and it was a compression. So then I started hydrotherapy at the
So
pool
how
again.
long were you away from swimming?
Since maybe about 2004 till about 2017. That's about a massive amount of time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But coming back wasn't really that difficult for me though, because the skill was there. The body was set at such a young age. The movement, the technique, because my dad was my coach and is still my coach. So you have that one specific technique. It's just that the body just grew. But the body never forgets. You never forget to
So that
drive. You
muscle
never
memory
forget
was there.
always. Some things just don't change. And it's something that you've learned as a child. So it's part of your DNA now. My dad's also a swimmer. My dad's also a coach, and it really wasn't that difficult. But yes, there was no endurance. So I started going to the pool. I started meeting people, and they were like, "Okay, you swim really well." And I was like, "Okay, why not?" And they would say the open water swims. I thought I could not get into the competitive anymore. They are fast. People are really, really fast. So the open water worked best. And it's different. I call it my endless love. That is open water swimming for me. Yes, the transition came smooth for me. It really wasn't that difficult. But today I say it's my profession because not only as I'm just swimming here to here, also as a coach, I did my NIS certification. So I would say yes, I'm a swimming coach. And then it comes to the swims that I've done, the training in the pool, understanding that every person is different, whether they be the age or whether they have the skill, the body, they are able to understand and convert that. That is very, very important. So everybody is different. You can't coach everybody the same way.
So when you
That is
started
what,
back into swimming after your injury, so that recovery is what brought you back.
yeah.
Then how did you decide to undertake the first long distance swim that you did?
Everybody was at the pool, right?
Right.
They'd be like, you swim really well. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? So I was like, okay, why not? So that's how I got into that. So
Hmm.
then I went to this Goa swimathon and stuff. And then I did my 10K qualifying for my first longest open water swim, which was the longest in the world, actually. So called the Mushirabad Open Water Swimming Competition. It happens at Behrampur, and you start swimming from Faraka Dam. You swim
Downstream to the.
81 kilometers downstream to Mushirabad. That was my first
I think that
longest
has a
swim.
very rich history as well. I think the locals are really
Yes,
into that
yes.
swim.
So when you're actually swimming, each village you'll actually see they've set up like a whole shamiana, like they've set up like a whole tent. There's music going on, and as you're swimming, they're like cheering you up, and it's really nice because when I swam it in 2019, it was the 76th open water
Wow.
swim. Yeah, so it's been there for like decades, and nobody even knew about it.
Right.
So now it's slowly coming on the map. And yes, that
So
was my
how was that
longest.
experience? I mean, 81 kilometers, people swim in meters or maybe 3, 4 kilometers. 81 kilometers, it's like just mind
Actually, you
boggling.
know what we say 81, but it's far more than 81 because down you never swim straight down a river. One, the river is meandering.
Right.
So you're like going this way, this way, this way. So they measure only that up to 81. But they don't actually see the fact that the river at one point is about 1.5 kilometer wide, where you can't even see the other side.
Right.
And swimming in a river, you never swim straight. You
Mhm.
always swim diagonal. So in 81 kilometers of the stretch, I'm quite sure we all swim a lot more, but with the assistance of the tide.
Mhm.
That is why it starts at 5:30, ends at 12:30. Sorry, 5:30 in the morning to 5:30 in the evening. So
Okay.
they have a cut-off time for the safety of the swimmers.
Mhm.
Because when it gets dark, the currents again get faster. It becomes a
Correct.
little dangerous.
Right.
So yeah, so that was my first longest swim, like endurance swim that I really pulled off. It was something else. It's
There must be
an
very few
experience.
women who've done that.
Yes, they are actually. Uh, it's not even women who actually do the swim. It's uh, it's like 17 of us start and maybe only 10 finish or
Mm.
even like 8 finish. A lot of
Wow.
people tend to drop out.
Right.
It is a real test of not only endurance of the body, it's more in the mind. So it's training, like if I'm even swimming in the pool for hours, it's training your mind that gets you across that distance. So it takes, honestly, it does take a lot of sacrifice, commitment, and discipline, like on a different league
Level
altogether.
altogether. So once you finish that 81-kilometer swim, what was on your mind? What did you decide next?
I want to sleep. At that moment, you don't think of anything. You just want to sleep.
Absolutely.
And that's it, really. You just want to eat and you want to sleep. And I was at West Bengal, which is Mushirabad. And I hope listeners and viewers don't mind, but we love fish. I love fish from where I come from. And so we're suddenly eating fresh fish
From the Ganges.
straight
Yeah,
from
the
the
river.
Hooghly onto your plate. It's a completely different feeling altogether. It's like fresh. Oh, it was a treat for my father and I. Baba loved it. I loved it. We just wanted to eat and sleep. That's all we did. You really don't think. For me, the first thought after any of my swim is like, I'm like, thank you, God, and thank you, my parents, because that, my parents, because where does that mind come from? Where does that zeal to push yourself that far? That support comes at home. And God, because He's given me, and God, because He's simply given me the skill, He's given me the brains and to be able to acquire, absorb things the right way. So,
Mm.
and yeah, and I'm alive more than anything. So this is what I normally think after every swim.
So what was the next
Food.
biggest swim after the Berhampur swim?
Oh, after the Behrampur, I went down to do the one way. I actually wanted to do the two way of the Ram Setu,
So that means
but
you start from India.
I started from India, which is Dhanushkodi Old Harbour.
Hmm.
So we start from there, and I swam. Okay, it was a fairly good swim going, but
So you
a
reach Sri
lot of new
Lanka,
experiences. Yeah, in 10 hours.
right?
And then we turned around, and it was dark. So that's when I was like, it's fear, and it was my shoulder that was hurting. It was a lot of things that combined, and I was like, okay, you know what? It didn't happen, but a one way was 10 hours 9 minutes,
That's quite a lot.
which is yeah, for a woman. I mean, first time a woman's actually swam that fast. So that was one way swim. But then I had to go back because okay, it's a two-way swim. I got to complete it.
So where
So
did
the
you actually
next year,
stop on your way back?
no, we actually turned around from Sri Lanka and we were coming back to India.
Okay. And
That's
it
when
was dark at that time.
oh God, I hadn't experienced swimming in the dark.
Right.
So it hit me like a bolt. I'm like, what just happened?
Right.
So that was another experience for me. I done enough hours in the sea to actually understand what was going on. Before this, I had done Bombay.
Mm.
So Bombay was a short swim, a 16-kilometer swim, but it wasn't in the night. So I didn't know what swimming in the dark entailed till I was there right in the middle of the ocean. Then I'm like, what just happened? So that was another learning. So then, okay, I went back to Bombay, did a night swim, understood what entails in the night, got a little more stronger, and went back to do the two-way. The nights are hard for anybody.
Mm.
Like, it's like you're in a pitch dark room. You turn off all the lights. You can't see anything. That is the open ocean for you. And there's obviously these things that people say, inhibitions like they are sharks, they this and that. You know it is not there
Mm.
because you've already studied the marine life. You study the currents and tides.
Right.
It is not there, but then at the back of your mind, it is. And then the winds change. It's very unpredictable out in the sea. So that's actually what really happens. And I
So
get lost and stuff. I got lost. And then I'm like, okay, you know what? This is not happening. You try coming closer to the boat, it hits you.
mm.
You go further away, you can't see the boat. So there's a lot of things, but I think that is that was something I still haven't gotten over because I swam in fear. The whole night you're swimming in fear. It's it's a very different thing, but no, it's high time I get over it. It's so new ways to do more
So
swims.
you had to leave your first attempt at
Yeah.
how many kilometers on your way back?
I was already in the Indian border actually. I would say so the total is about 58 kilometers total.
Hmm.
I did about maybe 45, I think
So you were
40,
almost
45.
there. I mean, considering the
Yeah, but it's dark, it's
yeah.
scary.
So how did you come out of that? Because I had in both my attempts, my first half Ironman,
Mm.
I was very, very afraid of the swim because I had just learned swimming 1 month ago.
Ah.
And I went there, I did the swim, I did the bike, and I was very confident with running because I've been running the longest.
Mm.
But I missed one run loop. I didn't realize that I'd missed one
Oh,
5 kilometer loop. And I happily crossed the finish line. And then later I realized that my watch is just showing me 17 kilometers. I've not done the 21.
oh,
So that was such a big setback for me because what happens is when you're chasing a big goal, everything else is kept aside. It's only you and the goal.
yeah.
The same thing happened in my full Ironman. So I had a DNF in the swim. So both times I felt that that failure taught me a lot. It it just got everything got refocused
It
again,
does.
very laser focused and on to your goal. So how did that? I would not call it a failure because you still made a record.
Yeah. So actually, it just wasn't the first time. I've okay, even if it was a fast swim, yes, but the target was a two-way.
Hmm.
Uh, I wouldn't say it was a failed swim. It didn't happen, but I went back again.
Yes.
But also, like I said, I was going to do the night swim in Bombay, which is from again, Worli Ceiling is like the start point of all Bombay swims. Worli Ceiling down to Elephanta. This was
Hmm.
in Jan, and my Ram Setu two-way was in March.
Right.
So when I was going down to Elephanta, the I got through the night, which was what I was working on. I would say that was incredible.
Hmm.
There was still fear, but it wasn't that scared that I was the first time around. So the second time, I was like, my shoulder's hurting.
Hmm.
I did not want to risk my shoulder pain to a point where I can't swim in March. So I was like, you know what, guys, let's call this off. But
Hmm.
hey, I figured out the night swim.
Right.
So I wouldn't say people say failure is a stepping stone to success, but I would say failure is learning more about how much you are willing to cross for yourself.
Hmm.
Because you said you didn't finish, but you said, I'm going back.
Yeah.
These are goals we set for ourselves, whether we fail or whether it's a success. That is a personal pride and achievement, a personal self learning. That is what you do for yourself. That is how you are able to go back, and you went back and completed it.
Yes.
And in a few weeks, you're going back again to
Yeah.
tackle another milestone in your life. So these are things you do for yourself. This is not to please anybody, I mean,
Absolutely.
it's
And
a
you know
very
the things
personal feeling.
that you realize about yourself,
Yes.
that makes you stick to the sport because I'm very sure had I done my first half Ironman properly,
Mm.
it would have been one and done for me.
Mm,
I would have
yeah.
gotten back to my life. But because I had left a few kilometers, next year I again went back to Kazakhstan. I did the full
Yeah.
route, this time making sure I'm not missing any loop.
No, that's what I said. You learn a failure is not a setback for, or, a big thing for success. Failure is for you to learn, adapt yourselves a little more.
Right.
They say come out of your comfort zone. I mean, there's not, anything we do in our daily life is coming out of a comfort zone. You know,
Yes.
you start your day not knowing how your day is going to go. So that itself is a start of a comfort zone. I would say it's knowing how you're able to push yourselves beyond boundaries. How much are you willing to see how far you're able to push your body?
Right.
And it's phenomenal what the human body is. You as a doctor would know the we there's nothing less we don't have.
Tell me about
It's
your swim to Sri Lanka and back. Then, when
oh
how did it all happen? How does it work? Because uh, in the sea, it's a totally different animal
mm,
altogether.
mm.
The two seas which meet at,
Three.
yeah.
We're in three. We're at the Indian Ocean.
Mm.
We're at uh, Gulf of Mannar on the left,
Yes.
and then you have the Bay of Bengal,
Yeah.
and sometimes the Arabian Sea just decides to shoot in.
Oh,
So you're in that particular point where all you have the Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, and the Indian Ocean all in one place. So each of
oops.
them come with their moods. Each of them come with their marine life.
Yes.
Each of them come with their winds, currents, tides. So to tackle any of that is what I train in the pool for. Training in the pool helps me works on my speed, helps me work on my endurance. Yes, it is wall to wall, as you say, but spending more hours in the water.
Mm.
Again, with age, there are a lot of changes in the body you feel. There's more I have to push now than I had to last year.
Right.
Very different. So, even what I would like, even if I would spend about 10 hours a week in the pool, right now, even 8 hours is a massive struggle for me.
Mm.
It is huge difference. Age also plays a very big game in the field that as athletes or as athletes I would say. But in the end, it's everything that happens on that day, the conditioning, the mind, swimming with fear, swimming with the uncertain, swimming with the unknown. Like somebody would ask me, what is the unknown? I say, it's called the unknown because it's the unknown. There's some things you can tell people, okay, this is what's going to happen, that's going to happen. But like I said, you're dealing with nature, unpredictable. Mother Nature, when she showers, she showers you with the best. And when she takes, it's the same. There's it's just that way with her unpredictability. Then that is the unknown that you're conditioning your mind for.
What time do you start? How do you? I mean, it involves two countries, so that also require a lot of coordination, lot of
Yes,
support.
yes. It's a lot of it's mostly to do with the central government.
Hmm.
You send them letters of permission. They in turn forward the letter to the Sri Lankan government.
Government.
And then, they're like, okay, you gotten the permission, it works that way. Then the local governing bodies, of course.
Right.
And since this is, international swim, maybe just a neighbor, but yes, we do have custom and immigration check. Our
Hmm.
boat is checked, so there are things that happen to avoid that this is what's happening. So they do a background check. They check who the people are, your crew, the boatmen.
Mm.
They do a background check and then they say, okay, you're ready to go. This is your date. So they
Right.
give us that date and time. And just before we start, our marine police and
Yeah.
our coast guard are already there, our
Okay.
navy. So they inform Sri Lanka in turn
Hmm.
and tell them that, okay, the swimmer is in the water. So they are also aware of what's happening.
So
So
there's so much, the onus
it's
on
a
one
lot.
person. So it's
Yeah.
a lot of responsibility, isn't it?
It's a lot, but that's exactly the point. I mean, you're a doctor, you have a family too. You have patients who come. There's so much you're doing too. For me, my job is to swim, get the permissions, get my crew together, but at the same time, the coordination is a lot.
Yes. Yes.
And it does take time. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, my permission hasn't come. You get into a panic mode. It affects your training.
Mm.
So sometimes you also need to learn to let go. I think we're all destined to greater things, and it happens when it's your time.
Right.
It's, I think it's just that. So things happened in time for me. I think the stars aligned, and I went for it.
How was the
And
experience like going towards
oh,
Sri Lanka?
no, it's beautiful. See, the thing is, everything's happening in the day, so you can
Yeah.
actually see it's really beautiful. But then when you're in Sri Lanka at night, you really can't see anything. You're like, but no, beautiful, white, white sand, blue waters, and sometimes you can actually like because we keep our eyes open,
Yeah.
underwater, so
Yeah.
you can actually see like a dark water current just flowing through.
Hmm.
Then you see like a slightly lighter color, so you can see everything. It is so beautiful. It's That's why I say it's the endless love, not only for the water, it's being in nature. You see the beautiful sunrises, you see beautiful sunsets, you see the stars. You're scared of what's going to happen next, but you see the stars out.
Hmm.
It's a very different space. I keep telling everybody, you have to be there with me to actually experience it. It's a different space altogether. Like, yeah, I mean, it's scary, but
I
It's
mean, probably people like us can't even imagine because, out there in the middle of the ocean, nothing to sight, there's only water everywhere. And, your boat is not going to be with you, it'll be at some distance with the
yeah,
currents and everything.
yeah,
So, how was you said that you had a fear of night swimming.
yeah.
So, on your way back with that experience of last time where you had to leave because of
It
a shoulder
is.
injury, how did you cope during this time?
I got to finish it. It's once bitten, twice shy.
Yeah.
Second time became a matter of pride.
अब तो करना ही
Yeah,
है.
and I sometimes you don't think. It's
Mm.
like I will finish. That's the only thing you keep constantly telling yourself. You don't know how many times you probably say it. You just keep going, and it's nicer out there because you don't have to keep flip turning at wall to wall. So
Yes,
that's also the beauty of it. You can just keep swimming endlessly.
right.
I'm telling you, it's sometimes you just got to do it. That's really it. And I know I've trained for it. I know my body's ready. I know, you know, somewhere in my head that fear is still there. But my body is geared. My body is trained. I'm at peak performance here.
Yeah.
Now I'm not turning back. There are things you tell yourselves. They say affirmations and stuff. I'm going to finish. I'm going to finish. I'm going to
Mm.
finish. Even you get bored, saying it at the same time. But then it just gets imprinted and you push. It's painful. Oh, it's really painful. And it's no joke. The recovery was worse. The
Mm.
recovery was far more worse than the swim itself.
Mm.
Because then you're being pushed around. You're swallowing salt water. These microorganisms get into your bloodstream and get flushing that out itself is far more painful than the recovery because you're not able to eat. Your
Yeah,
tummy can't handle that much salt water. You know, even when I was throwing up, you can't really. It's just that much the body can handle.
right.
And you're aware of microorganisms. They get into your bloodstream for sure. It's washing that out took me another 6, 7 months alone.
Mm.
So yeah, so no recovery is far as important as your training prior and even after the swim. It's something we really don't pay attention to. But with age, I'm seeing how different it is. Even after a training day, even after swimming in the morning, I'm seeing the recovery
Getting slower
taking a
time.
longer time. Yeah.
So, yeah, as
So,
they say, it never gets easier. So, now people tell you that
yeah.
you've done an Ironman. Now, what's the big deal with the half? But actually, you always start at zero. Maybe you start at one or two,
Yeah.
but you are never at a 10 all the time.
It takes a lot, to be very honest. And as women, uh, I've just recently gone over 4 decades. I can see how different it is, and every day I feel my body reacting differently to different things. And if I'm sticking with the same diet,
Mm.
something or the other, it's like suddenly I have like hair fall, and suddenly my cuticles are getting lines. Never had to deal with that, and if I'm having something in the morning or mama made something nice like poha in the morning, like mama, I want to have that in the afternoon. Suddenly that doesn't work for me.
Doesn't sit well with you.
So it's like every day is becoming like a challenge.
It's also probably a discovery of our own bodies and
Absolutely.
our minds. There's corners of our minds where we have never been to.
Absolutely.
But
Unexplored
yeah,
territories,
so
and
when you're out there in the water only with yourself because you can't talk to people on the boat,
you
you
actually try to. No, you actually sometimes to break the monotony. You do. So like, okay, what is the time? Sometimes I refrain from asking them what time it is.
right,
I don't want to know. But like, okay, are we fine? Are we okay? What is happening? You try to talk because you want to break that monotony too. And it is a very lonely sport. It is a very, very lonely sport. And it is. purely how you're able to motivate yourself. And it takes a lot out of you, and it's mostly the mind over the body. Yeah.
Right.
Doctor, it's completely the mind because you're constantly trying to motivate yourself, you end up spending more energy. I mean, you as a doctor is sitting there across your patient. You don't move for 3, 4 hours, but you are exhausted because you spend so much time thinking
Hmm.
the right diagnosis, the right things to give the patient, how to, tell them everything's going to be okay. Each patient is different, right?
Right.
So there's the same thing here. You're constantly using your mind
Hmm.
to keep remotivating yourself.
Yeah.
So mentally, it's more exhausting than physically.
Do you sometimes wish, or do you sometimes miss your corporate life? You get up, you have your day structured in front of you, you come back, sleep, fat paycheck at the end of the month.
N- Not really. I mean, yeah, we've all experienced that corporate world, sitting in a cube, working, yes, you're getting a fat paycheck, but the satisfaction of it is is what everybody does, you know, doing something different, getting out of that box and doing
Right.
something different, doing what you love. I mean, how many people are willing to sacrifice their day jobs to do what they love and they're most passionate about? So I'm going to be sitting here telling you, I am doing what I love. I'm doing what I'm most passionate about. And it's the only thing that keeps me going.
But it's very, very surprising. Somebody who's leading a normal life in a good city like a Bangalore, it has suddenly decided to take on this, near impossible swim, because the swim that you did, it's not something which even normal people can contemplate. It's not an organized sport. There's nobody organizing it. You have to do
Yeah.
everything on your own, and it's a huge distance. So, what do you think made you think of doing this?
People around the world do it.
Hmm.
I mean, there's so many swimmers out there. Open water swimming is recognized, known, uh, honored among other sports as well. Open water swimming is very new in India.
Right.
So people to actually get out there and to even understand that okay, people do this.
Hmm.
So I actually want to start telling people or creating the awareness or the knowledge that there is a sport like this. Open water swimming is a sport to be recognized. We have a lot of swimmers doing it. It'll be nice for us to be also put up there with other athletes because
But that's the
the
problem
same
in
hard
India.
work.
We grow around rivers, we grow around water bodies. So many people live around the sea. But water is something which is thought to be revered. Dur se namaste. You never actually
Nay.
think of getting inside that lake of water, and it's opposite abroad. So you see young children jumping into
Yeah,
the
yeah,
sea,
yeah,
jumping
yeah,
into the
yeah.
lakes. Why do you think, and do you think it is changing now with people like you undertaking these swims and raising awareness? You also
Drastically.
have a foundation. Tell
Yeah.
us about that.
It's changing drastically, yes. At least more people are getting out into the pool.
Hmm.
Learn to swim is a life saving skill.
Yes.
Number one. Whether you take it on professionally as a competitor or whether you take it on as an open water swimmer like me, point is learn to swim.
Hmm.
Because this is a life saving skill. It'll save your life for starters.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
you you can use that knowledge that or whatever you've learned to teach people the same. But the point is, people need to take the first step, get up there, and get
Hmm.
into the water. That is how it is. So there are so many pools, and Karnataka has the most number of pools. Karnataka or Bangalore, the number of pools, the public pools available, our our local BBMP. Thank you because
Hmm.
we have so many swimming pools built by our corporation. And then private pools are coming up. So many private pools. You know, again, thank you, the corporation, because they're giving them permission as long as the safety is in place, they follow the rules and regulations,
Hmm.
maintain the water really well. So these rules and regulations, and therefore then they're given permissions.
Right,
It's fantastic the way things are changing. Even every school right now, the IB schools, they all have a swimming pool.
right.
And swimming is a learn to swim is a part of the curriculum.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is changing, but a lot of inhibitions when it comes to the open water. So that is where Open Water Swimmers Foundation comes into place. So OWS have started where we go clean the lakes
Mm,
because we started going to lakes and we saw how filthy it was. The water is really good, but then you suddenly have an occasional plastic that comes. But do you remember the fear that we all have in our mind? Oh my God, what is that? So suddenly you feel a plastic and
mm,
you're scared. So even the outside was bad. So we thought, okay, let's start cleaning. We'll clean the outside and we'll clean the
mm.
inside. And that is how it started.
So that's exactly what happened with us in Bhopal. We're blessed
Mm,
with a number of lakes.
yeah.
But because there are these unfortunate accidents where kids go in, they do not know swimming, somebody unfortunately loses their lives. So there's a phobia which is created, and in fact, most of these places it's prohibited to actually get in water.
Yes.
There are very few lakes in Bhopal where you can actually swim.
I would agree with them that yes, you prohibit people. Why? One is because the safety protocols are they in place.
Right.
Do you have the kayakers that we work with? They're all certified kayakers.
Mm.
Not only boating, they don't only have like a boating license, they have life saving and rescue techniques certified.
Right.
So these are not people we just say, oh, come sit on a kayak and come. They are certified people. So once the safety is in place, then
Correct.
you have people who have the experience and the certification as a coach. A coaching certificate is not a 1 month coaching certificate. It takes at least like 6 7 months
Mm.
to get like a proper coach certificate. So that is the kind of coaches that I have with me. So we have a safety protocol in place. We have experienced open water swimmers,
Mm.
people who actually swam enough and more oceans to know what open water swimming is.
Right.
And then I have my coach. They know what open water swimming is because it's not that they're only a coach. They're national swimmers also. They have
Mm.
they know what swimming really is. And they're all swimmers from like as old as I was, 4 years old, 5 years old. So we're experienced people who know what is required. That is how the
Absolutely.
system
So I
works.
think this is very important that unless all of us are very conscious of taking
Safety,
appropriate safety precautions.
very
Another
critical.
thing, what I learned as I started swimming is in Bhopal, we're very proud of our lakes.
Absolutely.
But the problem is that this respect that we should have for our water does not actually translate into action. So you have
Mm.
people at the ghats who are washing clothes, using soap, disposing flowers, puja material into the water. Once we start actually getting in water, that's when we realize how big a mistake we are doing by polluting these waters.
Oh, it's got a multitude of things. When you say,
Right.
you see them washing clothes, or you see we throw up puja things. It's a cultural thing also, right? Like puja, we always put in water. Again, how many options do we have? The government regulates and say, okay, okay, this is the
Mhm.
place. The government we'll throw our flowers and everything, and the government comes and cleans
Yeah,
it off. That is how it normally works. And it is our culture. There's some things you can't say, no, don't do this, no, don't do that. We respect the culture, we respect that, but we also tell them, don't break bottles.
correct.
See, okay, the flowers will wither. It's water anyways. It'll get into the water at one point. But they break bottles, they throw plastic. That is what bothers us the
Right.
most.
Right.
You know, just be a little more cautionary, be a little more wary because, this is Mother Nature, yeah.
True.
We are because of her today. That
Absolutely.
is really that. So, safety is the utmost priority when it comes to my foundation. Also, with the people who come to us, we tell them, they again come with fear. They're like, oh, crocodile hair, jellyfish hair. It's okay because they are not aware. They they don't know of these things because again, it's new.
True.
So to start creating that sense of awareness starts with OWSF.
Right.
Come, if we are in the water, nothing's happened to us. Trust me, nothing will happen to you. We are all coaches, we are all experienced open water swimmers. We know what we're doing, we know what we're talking about.
Right.
So safety is the utmost priority. And it's nice that the community is growing now. Uh, we have so many things happening with OWSF. Uh, and it's nice to be a part of the bigger community and bigger community of athletes, because we have a lot of runners who come to do like a recovery,
Mm.
and a lot of triathletes like you are just
Yeah.
starting off. They're scared of the open water. So we help people overcome that fear, and everybody has to be dealt with differently.
Mm.
Somebody like, oh, they're very comfortable swimming in the pool, but suddenly they come to the lake or the open water, the enormity, they just get
It's scary. Yeah,
overwhelmed by
absolutely
it.
it is. Yes.
To be very honest, I keep telling everybody, if I can do it, anybody can do it. You just need that spirit of sportsmanship, that sense of discipline, commitment, and how much are you willing to sacrifice.
Mm.
And coaching to where I am today, I always tell people you should have only one coach, because too many people telling you too many things, you get lost in translation. See, your coach has been with you from day one. I mean, your coach understands your psyche. Your coach understands your body, how,
Right.
if you're too taut or you're too relaxed, how to relax the person. So the coach takes you to a certain
not
place,
just not just coaches, you have these videos popping up on your timeline that this is what you should do, that is what you should do. So I think it's very important that
Oh,
you have only one god and you worship
yeah,
that
absolutely.
god.
No, the thing is also you need to do what works for your body. What
Absolutely.
people get, like I said, people get lost in translation because they're hearing 100 things from 1,000 places.
Right.
You have one coach who'll steady you, because yes, my father is my coach, but even as a coach, when he's coaching me, he understands my psyche.
Mm.
As a student, he knows how much he can push me. As a student, he knows that okay, this is my age. So he also checks with me, have you eaten enough? Are you eating this? What is your food intake?
Right.
Because he knows my target and he's coaching me for that target. I don't talk to 100 people. I don't like, for me, going to a nutritionist, yes, it's nice to hear a few things. TK, you haven't
Mm.
had jowar or ragi, add that into your diet. Yes, add badam kaju. You add
Mm.
these things into your diet. But the same thing does not work for 100 people. Everybody's body is different.
Right. Right.
So it's just really that, and it works for me.
Correct. What
It's
did you
tough, but it works.
in this journey, have there been things that you had to give up, sacrifice, leave?
Oh, yeah. But it's okay. I make up for it. See, again, it's balance. Yes, there are a lot of things you have to sacrifice, but it's not, I mean, in the end, what you achieve, it's okay, because there's so much more to do in life.
And probably
And
also you realize that the things that you've lost, you never needed them in the first place, or the people that you
I agree with you. Yes, actually, wow, that's actually a fantastic thing, because no one's actually told me this. I'm going to use this now, Doc. I'm going to use this.
speaking from experience.
Yeah. Do please tell me what
See,
your
what
thoughts
happens is,
are.
in our lives, there's so many things in our lives, and we think all of it is important.
Mm.
But when you start pursuing that goal, it becomes an exercise in exclusion. I don't need this, I don't need to go here, I don't need to go there.
Ah, yeah.
And at the end of it, you realize that you were better off without these things in your life, even after you've accomplished what you have.
Again, let go.
Yeah.
It's like what you're willing to let go of. Like I said, that's again balance in life. Yes, I'm training. I'm doing what I need to do. Then comes in recovery. I'm recovering, and I'm like, yay. You know,
Right.
it's not that I missed it. It's okay to take a break also for a while and start looking into yourself and for yourself. I mean,
Right.
it's okay sometimes to be selfish. The world's burdens are not on my shoulders. My burdens are on mine.
Right. What's next for you?
um, it's taking time for me to figure, because I'm just coming out of a shoulder injury.
Hmm.
So for me, I don't want to keep pushing myself, because, again, for me as a swimmer, my shoulders are everything.
Right.
I can't afford to push myself to a point where I don't want to go there.
Right.
So I'm taking my time. I really, I mean, the oceans are not going anywhere. They're just rising. The water level is just rising. So, yeah, yeah, everything. I mean, I'm not going anywhere yet.
Mm.
So I will give myself time. I'm in no rush.
Absolutely. And I think that's how it should be for all of us. I think the lesson that your life teaches all of us is it's absolutely possible to dream very, very big,
Yeah,
impossible things, and at any stage in your life. It need not be that, you've had a hiatus from your training or your experience and you cannot get back to it. You got back to your swimming, and how? You've created records. And another thing which is really important to learn from you is how to convert fear and failure into feats.
it's see, it's very different. Different people, different views.
Yes,
So how you said, okay, I'll just do one. You're going to be doing a third one, doctor. I mean, wow. Can you're just going to stop at one? But it's what we want to do for ourselves. It's what we
yes,
choose to do for ourselves. Like you said, sometimes it just doesn't matter. Everything becomes, irrelevant when you're focused. And I
yes,
think that is so much, that is important for anything you do in life. I mean, okay, we are athletes, but apart from that, you're a doctor. You're
yes,
also a mother. You have so many roles to play, but the same thing, you're able to now prioritize.
yes.
It
And I
starts and
think,
ends there,
and I
you
think
know.
as women, all of us have this gift. Many of us never open this gift and get to use it, but some of us, like, have actually understood that when you push yourself, when you actually spend more energy, you end up actually having more energy. This conversation with you was absolutely amazing. I mean, I had that connect with you. I enjoyed every moment. And I'm very sure that we are going to have you back on our podcast very soon.
Yes, yes,
If
yes.
if there are any questions that you would want to ask her, please write in the comments below. And please tell us how you like this episode. Don't forget to subscribe and share this so that more and more women can watch this and learn from her. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Dr. Priya.
Thanks.
Thank you.